Rhea has talked Tommy into going to a restaurant. And he's disappointed they don't have cat. He knows the Orientals, they love cats and dogs. No, not as bad as dinner. Yes, Tommy, the no-arm Chinese fella, lost both his arms being blindly obedient. He slowly fed that right arm into a wood chipper because he was told to by his boss. Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off. He won his girlfriend's heart because he does a very mean snake dance now. And unbeknownst to him, they're married. They're at a restaurant, and Rhea has come back from the bathroom to find Tommy staring at another woman, an Asian girl, picking her nose at the restaurant. And she throws her drink in his face and says, "Well, did you get a good look, Tommy?" Yeah. He's not going to be enjoying those Three Stooges tonight either. I am Milton, son of a carpenter and Mary. Dad, a carpenter, worked on skyscrapers. Mom, Marianne. I'm the son of a carpenter, Mary. I get to tell parables. This is a Tommy parable series about Tommy, the no-arm Chinese fella. Got that way being blindly obedient. His boss Wu told him to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. He blindly obeyed. They love that in New Orleans. Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off, leaving Tommy with no arms but a promotion. And this particular parable is for the snake pit, where Tommy meets the love of his life, Rhea. He's always been scaly. He's always talked with a harsh lisp. He likes to stick his tongue out loud. I told you he was Chinese. Now that he's missing both arms, he does a very mean snake dance, and that's what won Rhea's heart at the snake pit. It's how Tommy prays. I'm Milton, son of a carpenter, Mary. Dad, a carpenter, worked on skyscrapers. Mom, Marianne. I'm son of a carpenter, Mary. I get to tell parables. This is my parable series about Tommy, the no-arm Chinese fella. Lost his arms being obedient, blindly obedient. He was told by his boss Wu to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. He did that. Always been blindly obedient. Lefty, the left arm jumped off. And ironically, that's how he met his girlfriend doing a snake dance at the Snake Pit, popular dance club here in L.A. And unbeknownst to him, he's married. Yeah, they went to a church barbecue, and that's what they're back at the church, and he's being kept afterwards because he was distracting. He had his toe up his nose, kicked off his loafer, and the priest says that's distracting, and he says, "Oh, that's how I pray. I'm a dadless Buddhist." Tommy is the no-arm Chinese fellow, average worker of the unseen business, and yeah, he got a promotion for sticking the right arm in the wood chipper. Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off. He's bossing a whole lot of folks around. He got a promotion, and he is at the office long after his employees have left, and a woman knocks on the door. Yeah, you want to get the end of a Three Stooges movie. And she has a cat in her hand. He has his flyer he puts up all the time. Hazy, out of focus, and you can't hardly see the cat. And she says, "Is this that cat?" And Tommy says, "Yeah, thanks. Put cat in the cat carrier." And she says, "I don't know if this is your cat. You don't seem very happy to see him." He runs in the office. He kicks the desk. He comes out with a tear rolling down his cheek and says, "Okay, it must be your cat." And then he calls up Rhea and says, "We got Thanksgiving dinner, Rhea." Tommy and Rhea are having Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah, you had a hazy flyer up of a cat. And lost cat, and somebody showed up with a cat, so he got a cat. As you know, Orientals love the cats and the dogs. No, not as dinner. Oh, no, not as pets, as dinner. And they're having dinner, Thanksgiving cat dinner, and the phone rings. Tommy's phone rings, and he says, "It's Chang. I have to go talk to him in the other room." And he goes into the art studio there. Over, yes, he's chipping away at the Tommy DeMilo, and yeah, it's the Oriental nose picker Tommy's having an affair with, and yes, Lefty, he gets it all on phone video for Rhea, and yes, it may be Thanksgiving, but there's going to be fireworks at their house tonight. Tommy has just called Ching, and he says I don't have long to talk. I've been using my phone as a flashlight, and it's about to go out. When you come to pick me up tomorrow, bring me a change of clothes. And Ching wants to know, well, why have you been using your flashlight as your phone as a flashlight? Did the electricity go out? And he said, no, Rhea got home. Yeah, Tommy and Lou, the Oriental nose picker from the restaurant, she was feeding them cat on his lap in the recliner, and Lefty took a photo, texted it to Rhea. When she got home, she's mad as anything, and yes, he's in the doghouse, literally. The dog that died because Tommy couldn't feed it when he lost both his arms, stuck one in the wood chipper. Lefty wisely jumped off. That's why he's still around. Tommy's bossing a whole lot of folks around at work now, and he got to work, and everybody asked him, what are we doing today? And Tommy says, nothing, I'm tired from the weekend. And yeah, Leah laughs so hard she snorts cola out of her nose, and Tommy sees that, and then he says, I'd like some cola. Ching, go get me some cola, and yeah, turn on the Three Stooges so he can watch it there at work. And as they do that, Leah goes outside and tells everybody why Tommy's, in a bad mood. Rhea had called her up and told her that he was going to be in a bad mood because he went to go put tires on the car with her, and he was bugging the guy working there so much that he piled tires up on top of him. So he's tired. Tony and Tina are both college students, and boyfriend and girlfriend. Oh, find my Mormons Beware at these websites. Download and hand out to anybody who needs to know about the Mormons, in case in their neighborhood. Anyway, Tony says, let's go to a Ralph's party because he's got the latest Tommies. And Tina says, oh, I don't like Tommy's, he's a brunette. As a kind of a short attention span. And Tony says, well, don't worry about it. He's got a whole bunch of new ones that are just a minute. Red and Vince, two cops, have just showed up at the front of a bathroom, public restroom, and Larry is there. He says there's a sick son of a bitch in there making lewd propositions. Yeah, Tommy is a no-armed Oriental fella, average worker of the unseen business, was told by his boss to stick his right arm into the wood chipper. He did that. Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off. And sure enough, Red and Vince go into the bathroom. They say, is anybody here? And an Oriental voice says, please, white bud, I'll pay you $5. Yeah, he usually hits that taco truck earlier, and his personal assistant at work has to take care of that, or Rhea at home. Tommy is the no-armed Oriental worker, average worker of the unseen business of streets. Was told by his boss Wu as a test of loyalty to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. He did that. Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off. He got a promotion out of that. He's bossing a whole lot of folks around, and he has used his position. If you were paying attention, if you saw last night, Rhea, his girlfriend, flew into a rage when she came back from going to the bathroom, and he was checking out an Oriental girl picking her nose in the restaurant there, and he was kind of taken by her, so he has used his position, got Chang to go get her into the office, and under the pretense of needing to have a staged event of a girl picking her nose in public, and she says, I noticed you, picking your nose with your toes in that restaurant. Tommy is your average worker of the unseen business, the Chinese unseen business, the Oriental street. And he lost both his arms being blindly obedient. His boss, Wu, told him to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. He did that. As Lefty, the left arm, saw the right arm being chipped up, he wisely jumped off. That left Tommy with no arms, and as you know, the Orientals love the cats and the dogs, no, not as pets, as dinner. And Tommy's out on the hunt because you can't buy that cat on the grocery shelves yet. And he sneaks up behind this alley cat, grabs the cat's tail with his mouth, slams the cat up against the wall there, and a woman, as he's taking the cat home, says, "Oh, you do have some. You can't carry your cat like that. You do have somebody to help you with your cat." And he said, "Yeah, Rhea will skin and cook." Tommy is the no-armed Oriental fella who lost both his arms being blindly obedient. They love that in the Orient. They love that in the Chinese streets. He was told by his boss, Wu, to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. And he did that. And Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off. As this minute parable starts about Tommy, he's cheating on Rhea on the other side of Los Angeles. He can't stay away from the Chinese girl who picks her nose in public. And they're eating at a fast food restaurant, and she drops a fry, and she reaches down to the floor, picks it up, and she sees the shocked look on Tommy's face, and he says, "Rhea won't let me eat fries off the floor," and she hands it to him and says, "You poor man." Aaliyah and Mia are unhappy. It's the day after Thanksgiving. They got called into work. They're supposed to be off. But yeah, Tommy got in trouble talking to Lou, the Oriental nose picker, during Thanksgiving dinner. So Rhea's on the warpath, so he's at work, so they got to be too. And he calls him into his office and he says, "What would you think of a Oriental girl who picks her nose in public?" And Leah says, "Well, makes you wonder what else she'd do." And Tommy says, "Oh, yeah." Gets that far away look in his face. And yeah, he's meeting Lou at a nice fast food restaurant, and knows he doesn't drop a fry on the floor and eat it. She farts in front of everybody. Tommy is the average worker of the unseen business, the Orient unseen business, the Chinese streets. He lost both arms, being blindly obedient. He was told by his boss, Wu, to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. He did that. Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off, leaving him with no arms. He's in Katie the Cat Cooks. The cat's got your tongue and wanting some more. Diner, because Orientals like cats and dogs, no, not as pets. And a bully, Oriental bully, sitting right next to him, jumps up and he says, "Hey fella, why'd you steal my gloves?" And sure enough, the gloves are in Tommy's back pocket. And everybody's kind of serious for a moment, and then they figure, well, Tommy doesn't have hands. Why would he steal? And they, the bully storms out, and Tommy, once everybody's done, he looks around, puts that foot up, and steals the tip the bully left. Rhea and her husband, Tommy, the no-armed Chinese fella, have gone into the hairstylist, and the hairstylist says, "I'll be right back." And yes, the place is empty except for them, and Rhea's thumbing through a magazine, and some folks, some girls that walk in, are laughing and giggling at Tommy, and she looks over out of the corner of her eye, and she says, "Tommy, whatever you do, don't take your toe out of your nose." Yeah, he got caught again, picking his nose with his toes, a big habit of the Oriental. Well, a lot of them use their fingers if they have arms. And she looks over at the girls and gets Tommy up, and they're hopping out, and she says, "I hope you like making fun of my husband's birth defect." Yes, he said the same thing at work when they found an adult movie they had made in the bedroom. Tommy's the no-armed Oriental fellow who lost both his arms in a wood chipper incident. He was brown-nosing. His boss Wu told him to stick his right arm in the wood chipper, and he did that, and Lefty, the left arm, jumped off. Now, Tommy doesn't like telling folks how he lost his arms because it makes him, sound stupid. So he likes to get excuses, reasons why he lost his arms from his AA meeting at the bar, Amputees Anonymous. And tonight Gary is there. He was at the zoo feeding a lion, he tells everyone, and he wasn't feeding the lion quick enough, so the lion kind of took off an arm. So Tommy tells Al to write that down. He also gets a calculator and he does some quick math. Yeah, the average lion is 42 times bigger than the alley cat, and that means Tommy, they like cats, the Orientals, gets to eat a month off it. Tommy is the no-armed Oriental fellow. Lost his arm being blindly obedient. His boss Wu told him to stick his right arm in the wood chipper. He stuck his arm in that wood chipper, and Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off, leaving Tommy with no arm. So he's at his AA meeting at the bar, Al's bar. Yeah, Amputees Anonymous, AA meeting, and Rhea wants to know why he's not home, so she calls up Al, and Al looks over and tells her, yes, he's here, yes, he's alone. Then afterwards he goes over and he asks, Tommy, who's Lou? She asked if you were here with Lou, and Tommy says, oh, he sighs, takes a sip of that straw, his drink, and says, oh, she's a Oriental girl who can pick a nose. And I was curious as to whether he means his nose or her nose, but he's learned not to ask. Tommy is a no-armed Oriental fella, lost both of his arms because his boss told him to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. He did that, and Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off. He doesn't like, he's at his AA meeting at the bar. Yes, Amputees Anonymous. And he doesn't like the new guy, Adam. He's obviously drunk. He's slurring his words. He's going on and on about how those other AA meetings are pompous and serious and boring. And finally, Tommy says, hey, fella, what exactly are you missing to be an AA? Yes, Amputees Anonymous. And the guy takes off his shoe, and there's his big toe. And he explains how at the other meeting they pushed him out and closed the door and took off his toe at that too serious AA meeting. Tommy is an average worker of the Oriental streets, Chinese unseen business, who lost both of his arms in a brown-nosing incident. He was told by his boss Wu to stick that right arm into a wood chipper. He blindly obeyed. And as the righty was getting chipped up, Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off, leaving Tommy with no arms. And he's calling Rhea up with his phone. And it's hard to do because he's got to hit, the buttons with his nose. And Rhea answers and she says, Tommy, where are you? You're not with that Oriental hussy, that nose picker, are you? Yeah, he met a girl picking her nose, Oriental girl picking her nose at a restaurant, and he had an affair with her. He says, no, I was hunting cat for our dinner. They like cats and dogs, no, not as pets, as dinner. And nearsighted granny has him penned up, and she's taking him to the vet to see if fixing cures his attacking the cat. Tommy's the no-armed Oriental fella, lost both his arms in a wood chipper incident, was told by his boss Wu to stick his right arm into the wood chipper. He did that. Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off. Tommy has the hardest time answering his phone because the room that he's in is very small. When he does, hi Rhea, and Rhea says, why aren't you home yet, Tommy? You're not with that slut Oriental nose picker, are you? And Tommy says, no, I'm not with Lou. I'll be right there, honey. And he hangs up. He puts another yen in that little slot, and the window opens, and yes, there's a Chinese girl over there, scantily clad, and she goes to picking that nose. Tommy rode through on the Tommymobile Chinatown on his way home, and he saw that that geisha girl looking thing with 2 X's over her nose. Tommy's the no-arm Chinese fella. He got a promotion sticking his right arm into a wood chipper. It was a test of loyalty, and Lefty, the left arm, saw what happened to Righty. He jumped off, and yes, he's still sore about what happened to Righty, getting all chipped up and that. Tommy's working late in the art studio, Rhea's art studio. She's chipping away at the Tommy DeMilo. It's like the Venus DeMilo, except missing his arms. And Tommy is getting a big box together, and he says, I gotta mail this to Ming in China tomorrow. It's about a report on the Karens. Can you mail it for me? She says, sure. She's half asleep. Just put it by the door there. I'll pick it up. She picks it up. Yes, you guessed it, Lefty. When Tommy fell asleep, put him in the box. And Rhea's kind of strong. She put him, took him to the post office, put him on the thing. And as she was walking away, she heard him yell. Tami is the no-arm Chinese fella, average worker of the unseen business, the Chinese unseen business, the Oriental streets. He was told by his boss, Wu, to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. He did that. Lefty, the left arm, wisely jumped off. And Wu, his boss, is in his office, and the secretary brings in a letter. And he says, oh, it's good to get a letter every once in a while. Everything's done on computers nowadays. He opens up the letter, and it says, you are a big, stupid son of a... goes on and on. And yes, it's signed Tommy. And he doesn't just take that. He checks the handwriting. It's definitely his. So Tommy's going to be getting some anger management kind of stuff going on. And yes, Lefty still sort of knows his handwriting too. Tommy, the no-arm Chinese fella, yes, was told by his boss to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. He did that. He's been blindly obedient all his life. Stuck the right arm in, Lefty, the left arm wisely jumped off. Tommy is watching the Three Stooges, and he hears a knock at the door. He goes to the door, and he says, who is it? And she says, Lou. Yes, it's the Oriental nose picker from the restaurant. And she hears him trying to open the door, and she says, oh, don't bother, I can go right through the doggy door. And she goes in there, and she says, are you sure your wife's not here? And she says, no, she's on business trip. And yes, she's brought some cat along to feed him, and yes, Lefty crawls out. He's taking that snapshot with the phone of the devil. At a college party, and Dana is an angry brunette, and she hears someone say, hey, I got some new Tommy parables from Stone Cold Melton. John Melton, great son of a carpenter. Mary, daddy carpenter, worked on skyscrapers. Mom, Mary Ann. I am the son of a carpenter. I get to make parables. And Dana, the angry brunette, rolls her eyes. She's heard those Tommy parables before, and they can go on for half hour at times. She gets up, and she's on her way to the door, and she listens as the handsome bald guy spins a Tommy parable. And by the time she gets to the door, I'm done. Yes, it's my new, after the insulin poisoning, minute Tommy parable. Pick up your own phone. Make a Tommy parable today. And yeah, come see me. Be in this graphic art. Let me define graphic art with your beauty, girls. Man and a woman get on an elevator, and the woman takes out a handy wipe and wipes off the buttons. She says, that Oriental man with leprosy. He kicks off his loafer, and he presses the buttons. And the man says, well, I don't think he has leprosy. And she says, well, you sure don't believe that story about sticking the right arm in the wood chipper and the left arm jumped off? They reach the bottom and they walk out, and so does a left arm, crawls out. Yeah, Lefty. He's been at work at Tommy's office early, and he's been put an open tube of super glue on his chair. So as he's watching the Three Stooges, yeah, he's going to get stuck. Remember, checking postal 5-424-229-4140. Make a video of America's High-Tech Lifelines. Tommy, has just got a promotion. He's bossing a whole lot of folks around. He's part of the Chinese streets, the Oriental unseen business. What's that? That's me asking for a 93 check call for over a decade and not getting one of them. Make a video of you had that call to me. Now back to Tami. He's just got that management position and he is bossing a whole lot of folks around. And so he's there longer, and the diner he goes to lately, it's closed by the time he gets off work. Oh yeah, Tommy's the no-arm worker. Boss Wu told him as that test of management to stick his right arm in the wood chipper, stuck his right arm in the wood chipper, left, his left arm wisely jumped off. When he finally does get home, he looks up at that can of soup up there, and yeah, how's he gonna get to it? Tommy lost both of his arms being blindly obedient. His boss Wu told him to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. He did that, and the left arm wisely jumped off, leaving him with no arms. As this terrible video starts, Tommy is at his AA meeting. Yes, at Alice Bar. They like to have their AA meetings at the bar because, well, right afterwards they have the refreshments. And a new member of AA, Madeline, is a little reluctant to share her story, but everyone tells her, oh, go ahead, it's all right. And she tells everyone she was a driving and she was a picking her nose and she got into an accident, and this is worries Tommy because he doesn't have arms to lose, but yeah, his girlfriend, the one he had the affair with, Lou, she drives. He's worried about her now. Lefty, left arm, is a hand model, and he is on a photo shoot, and the photographer is getting him to show her different emotions. Show me happy, show me angry. Goes through a whole wide range of that, and then she says, now, show me stupid. Show me the dumbest guy on earth. And Lefty's prepared. He reaches into his sleeve and pulls out a photo of Tommy. Yeah, Tommy's the stupid guy who stuck his right arm in a wood chipper because he was being blindly obedient in the Oriental streets, the Chinese unseen business. Righty got chipped up, lefty wisely jumped off. You should too. Can you hear me, Mia? Tommy is the no-arm Chinese fella. How did he get to be missing both arms? He was given a management test. Told to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. He did that. Lefty, the left arm wisely jumped off. He got a promotion out of it, and right now he's doing some undercover work with Mia. She's going into a college bar, and he says, can you hear me? And she says, not so loud. Yeah, she's got the earbuds in, pretending she's listening to music, and a guy comes up and he tries to, buy her a drink, and she says no. She's trying to find out about Milton's imagery, and he says, oh, here you go. Remember, look for me next time. I've got more of his latest imagery. And that's true, guys. You're going to strike out 9 out of 10 times. Make sure you got something to get them coming back for more. Aria can tell how the audition went as she pulls up to pick Tommy up. Tommy's the no-armed Oriental fella, average worker, the unseen business, the streets, and he wanted to go try out to be a stooge. Some kind of promotion they're doing, maybe a play or movie or TV show. And she can tell from the way he looks as she opens up the door. He can't open the handle. It's written all over his face. He says, yeah, they said I couldn't be a stooge because I can't poke someone else in the eyes, and I can't, put my hand up to prevent other folks from poking me in the eye. And I said, smart guy. And he's, sad as anything, and Maria says, well, Tommy, when we get home, I'll pick your nose. And Tommy knows it's a pity pick, but he's Oriental. He likes nose picking. Tommy is the no-armed Chinese fellow who was blindly obeying his boss, Wu, when he was told to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. He did that, the left arm wisely jumped off, and has been sore about that chipping incident, so he wrote Wu an angry letter, and he knows Tommy's handwriting. So Wu sent Tommy to anger management. Yeah, a seminar. Yogi's conducting it. And he says, we're all here because we have trouble with our anger. And Tommy says, no, not me. I don't have any anger problems. And Yogi says, okay. And he starts handing everybody a bowling ball. And he says, we're going to bowl today, instead of getting angry. And when he goes to hand it to Tommy, he can't catch it, doesn't have any arms, lands on his foot, and he starts yelling and screaming in Chinese, and Yogi says that's why he's here. Tommy is in charge of kids in my fun cartoon parable about Tommy the soulless yellow asshole. And just like this image, and a couple of days before, other image was butchered. You see it jump there? I had to crop out what the Chinese put in. Tommy is in charge today of moving 20 severely birth defected, all with the same birth defects, in and out of a cradle. It is a trillion tales of the devil's people. It is a Tommy. We'll get back to the nose picking tomorrow. I'm having this done to my child. And yeah, I don't have any kids because of the yellow shit folks and Lori's hatred. Tommy is the embodiment of the Great Wall of Evil. Yeah, he was told by his boss to stick his right arm into a wood chipper. He did that, the left arm wisely jumped off. And in this minute parable, Tommy, he is tossing and turning next to his girlfriend Rhea, having a nightmare of truth. A John of the Military Pitbull Project has found Norman, a 100-year-old man. And he shows Norman what the Chinese, the Great Wall of Evil, have done to the devil's people walking among us. What they've done to his family. And he takes Norman and he gives him that fountain of youth, those street chemicals, to be a battler of the devil. Mindy has just gotten home for Thanksgiving break, and the first thing her mom asks her is, do you know Melton, the graphic artist? And Mindy says, yeah, all the girls on campus are talking about him and his beautiful graphic art, and the devil's people walking among us, they're working overtime to try and keep everyone from seeing his latest. And Mom says, yeah, well, that's what I'm having a hard time doing. You're not going to let the Chinese stop you from getting Melton's latest. You know, he has a thing for blondes. And you and your squad are blonde. And she says, you're not trying to pimp me out just for imagery. And she says, no, it's not just for me, honey. Your dad likes his Tommy parables. Tommy, on Halloween, your Halloween party or any other party isn't a party unless you've got the Mormons Beware and the Tommy imagery printed as 4x6 photos. Daffodilia.blogspot.com, ChristComplex2.wixsite.com/Daffodilia. And yes, you got to tell your tummies yourself, I'm suffering from insulin poisoning past month and a half. So tell those tummies only you can tell. Your phone makes a video nowadays. Put it to good use. And remember to check and post in 544-229-4140. You trying to call me?